morning. Good morning, good morning. I'm Sammy. I'm here. It's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday and I'm live. So I just wanted to pop on and say hello and let you know what's going on for me today. So at the moment my screen's gone a bit funny. Let's just get rid of that. Sorry. There we go. So I just wanted to let you know what's happening. So today I said I would talk about my process and how I go about creating my art. So I've made a few notes so I don't get lost. Hey Sophie. So what I normally get asked is how do you start your art? Or what a lot of people will say, you must have some crazy batshit things going on in your head because of what the work I produce. So I thought one way to explain how I come about creating my work, good morning Steve, would be to tell you about my process. So it normally starts, an idea will come to me because of something I've either read or heard on the radio or the TV, or something that I've been thinking about, which makes me want to be able to express myself about that topic. So what I then do is, if something has caught my attention, I will then put my journalist hat on, so to speak. Not a journalist, but I use their 6 W's in trying to answer the questions that have come up for me. So the first thing is I'll look at is what is going to be my topic, and I narrow it down sometimes to a simple sentence or a phrase that my topic's involved in. I'll look at different points as well, so maybe similar to or slightly different, going off at a tangent. So I'll map all this out on my on a big bit of paper. So I map it all out, and once I've decided what the topic's going to be, it's then I look at the when did it take place, how, where in its history timeline. So if it's a news event, what happened before that event happened, what was the lead up to it, what's happening now, and what could be the possible consequences of it. So that's the second point I look at. The third point I look at is who. So we've got what, when, now who. Who's involved in it? Is it human? Is it animal? Is it the environment? Have a look at who's involved in the topic. What will be the benefits of it to that person or animal or the environment? What are the benefits of what's happening to them, or what are the detrimental effects of what's happening? So who will be harmed? So I look at that and I map that down, and then I look at where is it taking place, when did it take place, will it take place, for example, looking at who's affected by the location of what's happening. An example of that is when I was looking into the wildfires of 2020 and mapping that out and how it all spread and who was affected. It wasn't just the people local to the fires, it was the animals, it was the environment, it was the knock-on effect of that, because everything then, one thing leads to another, so it's mapping all that out. So we've got what, when, who, where, and then why. That is important within the topic, and it does matter, because I need to look at why the thing's happening. But rather than just asking why, you ask, well, what if this? or how did that? So you ask other questions rather than just why, because why, you just get a shrug of the shoulders. If you ask anyone, why did you do that, get a shrug of the shoulders. But if you say, you know, well, how did that make you feel? How did that make you think? Then you're going to get more answers. So I sort of ask myself questions and try and answer those questions. And how I answer those questions is by doing my research. So I'll research into the reasons why things have happened, or who said what, or who was the instigator of that situation. And then number 6 is how. I know that begins with an H, but there's a W at the end, so it's part of the 6 W's. So how is the topic affected? How does it function? How does it do what it does? How did it become what it became? And how are those involved affected? So those are all the questions that I list down before I even pick up a paintbrush. And that can take me sometimes a couple of hours, sometimes it can take me days, sometimes it can take me weeks. I've had 1 or 2 pieces of art that just doing my essay has taken me months to write. But I sort of think to myself, if I put the effort in, then I'm going to create a better piece of art that's going to have the foundations set. So then when you as the viewers come to look at my work, you'll maybe not know all the preliminary writing that I've done, but hopefully you'll be able to see from the work I've produced, well, actually this has a lot of thought and it's quite focused, and it continues the story for you. So what you may only have as the viewer is the title of the piece, but it's also, I sort of think the title is very important too, because it sets the scene for what you're looking at. Sometimes I put in a 7th question for me to answer is what if? What if everything worked out as it should be? How would that subject matter have then changed? What if it didn't work out as how it did? What if it went a different way? What's the what road, what path can I then take you down? So I may take you quite being an abstract artist, take you quite an abstracted way, and get you to look at something from a different viewpoint. Have you thought about it from this angle? And just to put I suppose to put your creative part of your brain and your thinking part of your brain working together side by side, but actually they might be quite disjointed. But for me, when I'm viewing art, I quite like that. I quite like the piece to make me think. I like looking at beautiful artwork, but beauty, like they say, is in the eye of the beholder. So it could be something that another person might think is quite grotesque to look at, but it's all the thoughts and everything behind it that I really like, and how the artist makes me think. So I'm hoping that my work will have the same effect. Not all pieces, you know, some pieces are very light and fun, and I just want you to love it because you love it, and no other reason. But if there's the thought behind it, and say if you came to my open studio, I normally put a little bit of writing by each piece, and so then there's the thought behind it, so you can see where I'm coming from, and you may go, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or actually, oh no, Sammy, you've got this so wrong, because what actually was happening at that time was X, Y, and Z. But that means that we're having that conversation about that piece of work, but you're having that conversation with the piece of work. Does that make sense? So you're continuing the narrative I've started. Blake says beauty will always be subjective. Yes, it will. Yeah, absolutely it will. And Steve says, these 6 questions must sometimes give you some emotional answers. Oh, absolutely. Especially when I'm creating quite emotive pieces. One piece that I created from my journal of 2020 was the killing of George Floyd, sorry, and it was quite emotional when I was doing the research, not just into his death, but to the number of deaths in custody, the number of deaths at the time of arrest, etc. And my work on that part was that I wasn't just looking at the person that had died. I was looking at the ripple effect of everyone around them. You know, not just his family and friends, not just the people that were viewing it live, you know, as he was being arrested on social media pages, not just the police officers that were involved, but also their family and their friends. So yeah, it does cause a lot of sometimes it can be quite an emotional journey for me, and with some subjects that I may start on, I actually put them aside because it's just sometimes gets a little bit too much for me. It's like when you're seeing and hearing a lot of bad news, like we're having at this moment in time, and you sort of think, I'm here in my studio, I'm safe, I'm sound, my family is safe. You know, really, should I be thinking about what I'm painting next? Thinking about the next art show I'm going to be involved in? You know, and I sort of think, you know, what I'm doing is trivial in the scheme of things, of what's going on for other people. But at this moment in time, I can't, if I stop painting, is that going to stop what's happening in the Ukraine? It's not. But it doesn't mean I don't care. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to help and support as much as I can. So yeah, Blake, it does become overwhelming at times. And I think that's because my art tutor said of me that I was an intellectual painter. That's really a lovely thing to say. I may not be all that great with my words, but I feel that with my painting, I can express what I want to say more. I can express how I'm feeling more than I could with words. So yeah, so those are my how I start my essay. Then what I have to look at is what do I want to add to the conversation within the work that I'm producing? What is it that I want to say? Sometimes if I feel I can't add to a conversation, I choose to say nothing. Sometimes I keep quiet because I'm quite anxious how my thoughts are going to be received. But when it comes to my art, I feel so free that I can say exactly what I want to say, add to the conversation that we're having about whatever topic it is. And my artwork has value in that way, and I can then continue that conversation with the viewer. So they continue the conversation. So I've started it, they continue it. And whether we agree or disagree, we're both being heard. Yeah, Blake, a picture paints 1,000 words. Absolutely, yeah. So after I've done my research for the 6 W's, I then start researching my topic. So I'll be reading around the subject matter, I'll be looking at photographs, I'll be listening to music, reading books associated with the subject matter. The list goes on, because once I start, then that's it. I'm sort of like what they call in the zone, and I'll be going to you know, get as much information as I can, and try and understand it and interpret it to enable me to be able to put it all together to produce the piece of work. How can I expect someone to connect with my work if I, the artist, haven't put the work in to write the narrative that goes alongside it? So that's why I feel it's important for me to write and do the research. I think it's, I'm not, this is just my process, and I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying other people are wrong. This is just how I do it. I have to make sure that I've built solid foundations for my piece of work. So when I produce that piece of work, it's a true reflection of what I'm trying to say. But there's no right or wrong way really to what's produced. I then go on to another bit. I'll show you. I stick it up. I've taken it off my wall, but I have a notes here, and it says the concept, the inspiration, the colours. So this is then when I make my big sheets with all my notes on. So I've got a written essay, which like I say, it could be, you know, a side of A4, or it could be reams and reams of A4, you know, and in that essay, not only have I got the background information, I've got the concepts, I've got my title, because my title is going to tell you what I want to communicate to you. I'm looking at the mood of the painting within my concept. Is it going to be joyful? Is it going to be anger? Is it going to be fearful? Is it going to be separation? Is it going to be love? I mean, it can go on and on and on. So it's what I'm wanting to, the mood and what I'm going to try and communicate to you is part of my concept. Then I have to look at, well, how's the painting going to come across? Is it going to be strong and impactful and bold? Like the $20 bill painting that I did, with the knee down on the neck, or is it going to be soft and gentle? I've got in this upcoming series of work that I'm producing, it's a lot softer in comparison to the other pieces of work that I've produced. Then I look at the form. What form is it going to take? Is it going to be semi-abstract? Is it going to be abstraction, distortion? Am I going to simplify it down? So you've just literally got simple colours and simple lines. Looking at the lines as well, you know, and the mark making, because that's what it's about. It's about each mark you make. And I make sure that every mark I make is made for a purpose and a reason. So yeah, so that's part of what I do as well. And then I look at the method. So how am I going to carry out this essay I've written? How am I going to put that onto the canvas? So I'll do experimental drawings. I will do compositional ideas. I will experiment with different mediums that I want to use. Is it going to be a multimedia piece? Is it going to be acrylics? Is it going to be oils, etc.? So I'll test all of those out and link all of that into my essay. So draw parts of my essay out and put that within the work. And then my next part is I've got concept, then I've got my inspiration. So I'm looking at the drawings, the music, the photographs, fabrics, words, shapes, etc. So that goes in my inspiration part. And also where the essay originally started from, that's part of the inspiration. So the essay goes across all three sections, and then the last section is my colours. So I look at my colour palette, I look at the mediums I'm going to use, I'm going to look at the mark making and my equipment and brushes that I'm going to use, and I map it all out. So at the end of this, I've got some idea of where I'm going to go when I come stand in front of the easel and look at the canvas. I want to show you some pieces, so let me just move you. So if I just turn this round. Okay, so this is my work desk, and this is some of the work that when I'm prepping. So like I said before, I have 3 sections. So this section is inspiration. These are this was for a musician who wanted me to do 2 pieces of work for her. One was about the saxophone and one was about the flute. So this one's about the saxophone. So these are some sort of preliminary drawings, you know, just scribbles that I've done and some ideas. She wanted a piece of music by a certain musician, so I got the Girl from Ipanema, and that is what I covered actually the canvas in, and then I painted on top of that. So my concept, so you've got here, so you've got the concept, the title, which was Halo's song, because it was written about the girl, and then I wanted it to be strongly impactful, because that was the brief that I had from my clients. And then I've got the inspiration. So the inspiration was actually from Stan Getz and the Girl from Ipanema. So it was bright and bubbly, South American, Brazilian. So I wanted to put all of that into the piece. So yeah, so then here was my colour palette. So every time I tried a different colour out, I put it on here. So I knew what I was going to do. It also had some enamel sprays on there as well. So those are all the colours that I used in the final piece. I think you'll still be able to see the final piece on my Instagram page somewhere, but I might link it to this live when I finished it. So that was one that I did. And then this was the second one that I did for her, which was about the flute. Again, I used the sheet music as the background. I did a rough, this is just in felt tips, idea of what I wanted to do. Rather than just having a flute, I deconstructed the flute. So you've got different elements of the actual flute in the picture. And the background, I did the Cuban star, because the piece of music I used was from Cuba. And then again, you've got my colour palettes with everything listed there, and the type, who it was, and the type of paint, etc. So that's those are how those ones work. And then let me just show you one more other thing. When I'm doing a piece of work, I like to test out different ideas and textures. So I'll do small paintings of ideas. This one actually was for another commission where they wanted an industrial feel to the background. So this was just me practicing different textures, etc. for the piece. So, and I'll just show you one more. Okay, so this one, my concept here, this was actually about the First World War, and my grandpa was in the First World War, and he was able to come, he was lucky enough to come home. So this piece was called Sadness in My Heart. There's a little picture of it there. That's the finished piece there. But what I wanted to produce is I wanted to produce something that was like a car crushing machine. So when the cars get crushed, you see all the different colours, and that's the type of idea that I used in this piece. So I wanted it to look as though the area, how it was, the battle, before the battle, how it was a beautiful area, was squished by a car crusher. So that's why I've done the layers and I've squished them up. So here you've got like the flashes, I don't know if you can see the flashes of the gunfire coming through the Woods, sorry, Flanders, Battle of the Somme. And then here at the end, at the bottom, we've then got the poppies for after the war, you know, and then we've got the fields there. And I just wanted to make that area in between, how it was once so beautiful, but it was being squished in between the two narratives of that war. And what I also do is I look at other people's work, other artists' work during that time to see what they were creating at that very dark time. And like you can see here, you know, it's so colourful, even though it was such a sad time. And so I think it's important to look back on what other artists have created, not to copy at all, but just to see where they were. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I do love doing all this work. Yes, I keep every piece of work. I keep all my inspiration boards for every piece. I'm running out of space in my studio at the moment because I've got so much. I need more room, basically. Need more room. But yeah, I do keep it. Some of my buyers do ask for the essays. I don't provide the whole essay because some of it can be quite with me just wanting to let you know what I was doing and how I create my art and where I'm coming from. So I hope you found it interesting. Oh, it's very faint. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Oops. If I put it down, maybe that's better. Is that any better? I hope you found it interesting. I don't know why my sound's gone faint. Oh, it is better. Brilliant. Next week, I think I need to double check, but I think in my notes we have a new creative person to do a conversation with. But yeah, so I don't know, I just hope that you enjoyed listening to how I create my pieces of work. I don't think I've have any trade secrets or anything like that at all. I just find for me, I need to make sure that I can give each piece as much of myself as possible, so then for you as the viewers, you get that too. Okay, thank you ever so much. Thanks for watching, Steve. Really appreciate it. Okay, see you again next week at 11. Bye bye.